What's up, folks? I'm Mitch with Stone Coat Epoxy, and today I'm going to teach you the tips and tricks on using Stone Coat's Black Exotic Marble Kit. What is the Black Exotic Marble Kit? Well, it's from Stone Coat Epoxy. It comes with a selection of metallic powders and epoxy dyes that can create a very beautiful and natural looking black marble. You can create an exotic pour by tinting all the colors, pouring that in a bucket, and pouring it right over your project. Or you could take those same color additives, mix up some epoxy, pour that on your board, hand meld it, mix it with a little isopropyl alcohol. Project complete. Black Exotic Marble, 2 ways right now. Let's go. All right, if you're gonna go exotic pour action, dirty pour, you're gonna want to build a tape dam. What that does is that keeps the epoxy from flowing over and really stretching out that marble look. We also leave this tape dam for about 1 to 2 hours after mixing. That allows the epoxy to get thicker. And then when it pours over our edges, these colors don't stretch and our edges look very high definition. If you're gonna be doing the hand meld with the Black Exotic Marble, you need about 3 ounces per square foot, whereas the exotic pour, you're gonna go 4 to 6 ounces per square foot. I've got my tape dam installed. I'm gonna mix up about 5 ounces per square foot. I'll tint that individually, pour that back into my big bucket, pour that bucket on the project, let that tape dam sit 2 hours, then I'm gonna peel that and this project will be complete. I'll come back tomorrow with the clear coat, come back the next day with the ultimate top coat. That is our 3-component system for the most durable, beautiful, long-lasting epoxy countertops in the industry. When I'm done pouring the exotic pour, I'll set this aside. I'll mix up some more epoxy and show you the hand meld version. I'll start with part B first. Best practice, scrape the sides of that bucket and scrape the bottom. You're gonna get any undermixed epoxy clinging to the sides and bottom fully incorporated into the resin. I do that midway through, grab the drill, mix again for about another 45 seconds. For a 16-ounce mixing cup, you need about 1 to 2 tablespoons of metallic powder to fully tint that. If you wanna make your 16-ounce mixing cup fully opaque with white, black, or brown, you're gonna use 5 to 10 drops of dye. Pro tip on the diamond dust, really go light. All right, we're just gonna mix until our colors are fully incorporated. I take my mixing stick and I lay it down flat. If I can't see wood grain when it self-levels to about 1/8 of an inch, you're completely opaque. There's our black, this is our brown dye. The black and the brown dyes together on a black marble are really pretty. It's kind of hard to show on camera, but in person, the 2 colors give it a marbling effect. More visual interest when it's just pure black. You can see that's still a little bit milky. You see the swirls, you can kind of start seeing the brown wood. So at this point, I'll add a couple more drops of dye. So be sure to kind of scrape the bottom of that cup. Sometimes it settles, especially if the cup has sat there a couple minutes after you've put the dye in. So now look, bam, now we're fully opaque white, just how I want it. Off to the next one. So also save on cleaning your sticks. Take the white and come over here to your white powders. A little white dye in here with this mica won't make any difference. So I kind of pull resin up, wet down those powders, just to keep any of those clumps of powders from clinging there, fully mix and incorporate. And we're ready to put this on our board. I'm gonna take a little bit of the residual resin left in my mixing bucket and pour that out on my countertop, just a little bit. What this does is, this is a grease coat. This is gonna help that exotic pour flow and move all on its own. So if you have any dry spots, the board's already been wetted down by a very, very thin layer of resin, and the epoxy will flow uniformly and meld very, very beautifully on the countertop. This is an optional step. The countertop will still move for you. It's just gonna take a little bit longer, and it may take you wetting down the board with your finger instead of having it previously wetted down with a small amount of epoxy. I mean, we're talking 1/4 ounce per square foot or even less, like just barely. I just scrape out my bucket really most times. And then I'm pushing really tight. All I'm doing is wetting down the board. I don't need a puddle anywhere. It's just wet. I take the high points with my gloved hand and kind of smooth those out. You could use colored resin for this step. I just use clear because that's what I had left in a little left in my mixing bucket. In our previous kit of black exotic marble, we had a couple colors of spray paint. Those are optional, still totally compatible in this system, but we're omitting those moving forward. Mike would take and spray between layers. That can add some selling, some cool effects, but it can also add some speckling. If you don't like that look, definitely don't spray any spray paint in between the layers as you build your exotic pour. The isopropyl alcohol that we missed towards the end of the project really adds some beautiful lacing and selling that mimics Mother Nature perfectly. So to build your exotic pour bucket, I'm gonna take all my tinted and mixed colors of epoxy and pour them randomly back into my bigger bucket. There is a small strategy here. If you pour very small amounts, the piece gets insanely busy. Those colors can meld and create a little bit of mud. So to avoid that, pour bigger blobs of color. So I'm gonna pour like a third of each of those colors at a time instead of a 16th, if that makes sense. And as you pour them in, they're gonna begin to create a pretty cool countertop just sitting there in the bucket. There's no real wrong way to do this, like I said earlier, except you don't want to mix. These darker colors really take over quickly. So that's why we add a couple extra white. And if the piece is a little too dark for your liking, on your next one, just add a little more white to your piece. A little less black and brown and bronze will really lighten up the project. This is already looking pretty though, is what I could see. And as your bucket fills, pour down the side. You can see it doesn't incorporate all the way. It'll keep those colors a little bit separated, then over melding them as the volume picks up. So you can also use that as your strategy if you want to meld those colors before you go. So I have them separated. I just come a little bit higher and it will really pull those colors in and start to meld them. I'm going to save a little of this diamond dust as an accent where after I pour out my countertop, I can come back and add little striated lines. Take that exotic pour and we're gonna pour it out right over the countertop. And as you get through that bucket, the colors really start to change, give you some unique looks, man. All right, materials on my board. I've got my tape dam off, so my high points are gonna stay. This is gonna completely fill in any dry areas, but that's why I greased that board up. The next step, I'm gonna grab a heat source. I could use a propane torch, I could use a heat gun, I could even use a blow dryer to remove all the air incorporated into this project while mixing and adding all those colors. So sweep the project about 1 inch or so with that propane torch. This is the most efficient way to remove air bubbles. I go front to back and then I'm gonna come side to side. And then I'm gonna walk away from this project and let it self-level. I'm gonna move it on over and then mix up my hand meld epoxy. But wow, doesn't this look fantastic? Now that the epoxy's set a little bit, I'm gonna grab one of my favorite epoxy techniques, and that's 91% isopropyl alcohol in this ZEP bottle. Just clear. You can also add in some mica powders to add some colors and effects to the lacing, but my favorite is crystal clear. And I start out by putting a little puddle of alcohol into my hand. I pour the bigger drops on my project, and it starts to affect the mica powders and the dyes in a really natural, cool way on top of the surface. And then I come back with just little baby pools to add small amounts of the alcohol, which sell it a little bit more. Whoo-wee! You can see these are effects that you cannot do any other way. This 91% isopropyl alcohol really makes magic happen on those projects. Okay, the two bigger buckets, they're gonna be my base color. That's black dye, that's brown dye, and I'm bringing a little bit of that dark bronze as a base. Then we're bringing in accent colors. We can meld with a Bondo spreader. You could meld with a magic trowel. You can meld with your gloved hands, a popsicle stick. That's what I like about epoxy, guys. You don't need a giant investment in tools. Just get yourself some rubber gloves and you're off to the races. All right, to do a hand meld marble with the black exotic marble kit, just randomly take your colored epoxy. I start with my black dye and brown dye. They're quite similar on the project. It's not gonna really show very well on camera, but when you meld the two together like this, it gives you a really pretty base. So now I'm just kind of grabbing that epoxy and walking it to dry areas of my board. It looks like one color right now, but as you start layering, and then the light catches this, does some cool stuff. And here's also a great opportunity to rub any of your exposed edges. We're looking for dry spots like this, and we're gonna make them wet. Bring some epoxy over that, break up the surface tension on the edges, on the surface, and the epoxy will flow uniformly. Kind of skipping my hand across, give it a little more random look, check the edges. Next step, guys, we're gonna grab some of our accent colors, and you could do this a few accent colors at once or layer them on color by color. That's all up to you. And I'm just gonna start just with my hands. So I'm gonna take that and start walking it out into the black. And as you walk it out further, more and more is off, so you're adding less and less color. It really can add some cool effects. And I'm kind of keeping in mind right now the flow of this whole project. And these pieces are gonna be way different, guys. So what I'm really trying to show is the same colors can give you almost endless countertop finishes. It all depends on how you work that into the epoxy, how you work that into your project. Sample boards are so crucial. Now check out what a little bit of isopropyl alcohol does to this look. That's brown dye, black dye, dark bronze. Now I'm gonna add a little bit of silver into this project. Drizzling a little bit again in random spots. Same deal, just light pressure, just using the very tips of my fingers to move color around. What you don't want to do is sit and meld. What you'll create is mud. It'll be all the same color. And now I open it up with that isopropyl again. Next color, little white mica, I think. Man, I'm already digging this a lot. And it's just rinse and repeat, folks. You put down your base, you meld it, you bring in your accents, you meld it. And let's say you have a 20-foot long straight run and you don't know how to do that all in one. Mix up a gallon or two at a time, get it tinted, get it down, get it mixed, and you have a big, 8-foot section next to you, have zero epoxy, mix up your new batch, just begin to meld where those two wet epoxies start to seam. Get those melded first and then work away. You'll come back, you'll never know you did that in more than one pour. What I did there too is you pull it and then I'm pulling up pressure as I walk away, and then it just drags a little bit more off. Wow, that's pretty. You can see how little white I'm using, guys. The white can take over really quick, but the whites with the darks, and then when you hit it with those, the alcohol, I'm gonna meld in a little of this bling bling into my white. All right, I'm gonna use a little heat to get rid of the air bubbles incorporated. And this one's done, man. I don't think I need to do anything else. Guys, let me know in the comments below, which project do you like the most? Is it the hand meld black exotic marble or that dirty pour version? Let me know in the comments below. I've got some excess epoxy. Here's another pro tip. Get yourself some coaster molds on Amazon or wherever you get coaster molds. These things are epic. I'm gonna build a little dirty pour these in to the coaster molds. Now my customer has a matching set of coasters to go on their beautiful countertops, which will protect and prolong those countertops even longer. From all of us here at Stone Coat Countertops, don't forget you got this. We're gonna see you on the next video. It's been a pleasure, as always.